nervous when you had me on live. I was
So, welcome to You Better Fact Check because I had wine first. Today I am joined by my sister, Jennifer Lilly. Oh, you want to be Jennifer Pollard today?
I'm both.
You're both. Okay. I am joined by Jennifer Lilly Pollard. I've talked about my brother a lot. This was his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still friends, right?
Yeah, we remained friends throughout most of it.
I love her, and she has picked.
Too.
I know. Say hello.
Hi, guys.
She's picked the topic for today, and I have titled it Neighborly Love.
There's no love, I promise.
So today I'm talking to her about what it means to be a good neighbor and what it is to not be a good neighbor. So people's active actions in not being a good neighbor versus what it is to be a good neighbor, which is just being a basic good human to me. Let's hear what Gigi has to say.
Okay, so my current husband and I bought a house 2 years ago, and my husband is very much on the side of naturalism, like planting our own food, providing an environment for our children to grow up, just to walk out in the yard and eat whenever they're hungry or whenever they desire a certain food, fruit, vegetable, what have you. We have turned our yard into a fruit forest, basically, is what we like to call it. Our neighbors are not very fond of our fruit forest, and we do not live in a neighborhood with an HOA, so therefore we shouldn't have real issues. And we've even told our neighbors openly and invited them to walk into our yard just to eat fruit whenever we're able to bear fruit. It's for everyone. It's not just for us. It's also for our neighbors, because we feel like that's the neighborly thing to do. If we're fruitful and we're multiplying and we can provide for them as well, they are as welcome.
So for people, I don't know anybody who doesn't know, but what is an HOA?
I believe it's something where there's like rules set for you.
Or what does HOA stand for? I was going to explain.
I don't know what it stands for.
It's homeowners association. And when your neighborhood does not have a homeowners association, you really can't say shit to people about what they're doing on their own property unless it is breaking city regulations, right?
That's correct.
So this is where the string barrage of complaints have come in, because they don't understand what you meant by community and flourishing and growing together as one tribe. If I have something, then you have something.
That's right.
If I'm without, you are without, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think that they got the wholesomeness of your invite as being new to the community. Let's talk about the first complaint against the Pollards.
Okay. If we go back, I mean, we've had the cops called to our house 10 times. We are
10 times. Cops have been called 10 times to white people's houses, friends. 10 times to a white family's home. How about that?
They are very concerned either about our grass being too high, which we don't have grass because we have put wood chips down to kill the grass and also to create a good soil. I really wish Matt was here because he can explain all these things better than I can. He's really brilliant.
You're like, I just know that we can eat the things that we plant and that's it. Period.
I can say this. I can walk into my yard and stick my finger into the ground all the way to my knuckle because it is such good, soft, moist soil.
Wonderful.
And that is why we should be able to be fruitful and multiply.
I should dig up a little and put in my garden beds out there.
You should come get some.
That I still haven't gotten approval for, but since they said maybe, we went ahead and planted them.
Yep.
They're thriving, but back to you.
The grass does come through in some areas, and it does get a little bit tall, maybe out of hand. But my husband travels a lot, and I tend to the household and the kids. I don't do yard work. I might make sure that the food is watered, or like every once in a while I'll go out there and pick the fruit, but I don't I don't cut grass. I don't cut weeds back. I don't do any of that. So he's not home a lot to do a lot of the work. But the cops come out there simply because our neighbors are so concerned about what goes on in our yard rather than worrying about what's really going on in our world today. There's so many things that our officers and policemen should be responding to than to be coming
within reason and without excessive force.
Without having to worry about grass
Right.
being high. They've also called the cops on us for my dog. We just recently got a puppy and trying to housebreak him. So he had an accident in our home and we ripped the carpet up and we're replacing all of our carpet within our home with hardwood flooring.
Wonderful.
And it's lovely. It's beautiful. It takes time to
So far, it does look beautiful, the rooms that are finished.
They are looking spectacular. And Matt's doing all the work by himself. He's not getting any help. So it does take time with having a full-time job and also trying to be a good gardener.
And I think that is something that a lot of affluent families don't realize, that when you are doing home renovations, you don't have the resources to enlist help from laborers. You have to do it yourself. Jennifer is filling up her wine glass, so that's what the clinking is in the background. I did it very quietly when I filled mine.
Sorry.
But yes, they don't have the resources to hire someone to do odd jobs in their home or completely renovate something. So you do it yourself.
Exactly.
Over time.
Exactly.
There's a house on the way to Montevallo that I know they've been building for at least 2 years, and it's turning out beautifully. It may be finished now. I haven't gone to Montevallo in a long time.
Well, one day Matt was out in the yard, and my neighbor walked over and was talking to him.
Oh my gosh, Gigi.
I'm sorry. So my neighbor was talking to him about the things that are going on in our yard. She's kind of nosy, and I've learned that talking to other neighbors is not probably the best idea either, because then they all communicate with each other and they all communicate around me, and I know for a simple fact that they have been talking about us, because one thing I confided in my neighbor on the right of me said, well, I told her about the dog pooping in the house, and she told the other neighbor. So the other neighbor walks up to my house yesterday and tells our roommate that she's concerned about my children playing out in the yard, and that she knew that our dog had pooped or was pooping in the house. She made it seem as if it was an issue that we weren't trying to resolve. So my dog has been jumping the fence, going into other neighbors' yards, and other neighbors are complaining about the dog getting out of the fence. So then we put the dog on a rope. Well, it's not an inhumane rope.
Harness.
He's on a harness. He's outside on a runner where he's not in one spot. He can move around freely and do whatever it is that he wants besides jump the fence, which he does every time he's free. And then they called the cops and said that my dog was choking to death and that he was starving and thirsty. And I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like they find something else. I'm currently waiting for DHR to come knock at my door just because now they're saying they have concerns for my children, which they are not endangered whatsoever.
It would be different if you had confided in someone and said the dog was pooping in your house, you didn't know what to do about it, and you didn't have a solution. I personally would get rid of the dog, but I know you are not going to. Your children love the dog. But you have decided, I'm going to take up the carpet that would hold the problem. It is much easier to clean hardwood. That was my takeaway from you telling me about the floor. Her takeaway was, be a messy Jessie, run over to the next door neighbor and say, hey, her dog's shitting all in the house.
That's exactly what it seemed like she did. The police came to our neighborhood last week, put a note on our neighbor's door. And she was walking from the other neighbors, because they're like, I have one on each side. And
you're in a Karen sandwich.
Oh my God, it's disgusting. I thought that I could confide in my neighbor, and she makes it so easy to talk to. She's almost like an angel. She's very angelic. And at one point I thought, man, I would really, really like to be like her. She's so softly spoken. She's really sweet. She's compassionate. She has such big compassion and such a great heart. But then I know now that I confided in her something that wasn't even personal. Like, it was just something I was really proud of. My dog pooped all over the carpet. We ripped it up. We got hardwood floors out of it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't see it as a bad thing, but she took that great thing and turned it into something bad. And now my other neighbors placing concerns around my children, and that's where I draw the line. I'm going to go to the police and I'm going to file a harassment, because
amazing.
I don't know who's harassing me. I don't understand why the cops are always there. I don't know why they care about what's going on inside. I mean, okay, maybe my outside isn't the prettiest to you because I don't have green grass, but you see that I have issues outside. You think that I have issues inside.
As for most of my recordings with You Better Fact Check Because I Had Wine First, there are children in the background. Jennifer has brought my handsome nephew with her, and he is speaking on his phone at a very high volume. So
he doesn't have an inside voice, guys.
That's probably what you hear. Austin is having a session in his room. That's pretty loud as well. It's fine. They're kids. This is the story of my life. Have a little wine while you wind down and not evict your children. So, well, what is your end game for this neighborhood? Because I remember when you moved in and you were so excited about home ownership, and it feels like because you're the new kid on the block, they're picking on you.
It really seems like that. Our neighborhood has grown up, and everybody's kids are adults now, having kids, starting families. I feel like they were just ready for their kids to get up and move out so they could just enjoy that life. And now I've brought in a house full of kids that like to ride their bicycles around the block. I've had neighbors complain to me about my kids riding their bike. I've had neighbors complain about our yard, and I was really excited about being neighborly and having neighbors that I could enjoy and like go next door and be like, can I get some sugar? When you're out of sugar. That's the neighborhood I've always envisioned having. And my husband wanted to get land. He did not want to live in a neighborhood, and that was something I really, really wanted just for my kids.
Right.
So they could go down the road
develop friendships and all that. He wanted to be a recluse, live off the grid, live off of the land. He might have been on to something.
I am with him 100% now, and I wish that I had never begged him for a neighborhood. And I'm thankful that he gave me that, because, you know, when we got the house, he never even set foot in it, and he put a bid down just because of the fact that I wanted it. He knew that's what I wanted, and we went for it. So now I'm like, what are we gonna do?
You know what you're gonna do.
We have a plan. We are planning on renting out our house in a few short years, buying some land, planting all the food that we can survive off of, and getting the hell away from people that can't mind their own business, stay in their lane, and let me try to live my best life. You got to live your best life. Stay out of mine and let me live mine. Don't try to tell me how to do mine. Involve the police, who are like beyond that. Like, it's grass.
Police have other problems and other fish to fry right now.
Yes. There's bigger issues, people. Why can't you focus on making a change on the outside world where it's making a difference? Rather than trying to make a difference in your own front yard, you need to step out of that zone and to a much greater issue that's going on.
So maximize your time as a human being and do good in the world. Do you think that anyone gives a flying fuck what somebody else's grass looks like? There are some shit ass neighborhoods out there that they could be living in. A few weeds is not going to kill them.
And you have to pass other houses in my neighborhood. I'm not bashing anybody who doesn't keep their yard up, but other people in my
Ray, get out of my
neighborhood,
purse.
other people in my neighborhood have grass that's grown up, plants that are like, some of my neighbors look like they actually have a jungle in their yard. And here we are trying to maintain what we are doing. And the police officer has to pass all this other stuff, but nobody complains about those houses. We've even talked to him, and he says, well, nobody complains about those houses. They only complain about yours.
Because they're not complaining about their friends.
They know
what you are in the middle of is a gaggle of Karens, which I've heard is called a privilege.
I'm feeling a little bit underprivileged, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
They are pounding me, and I'm like, what? And why? I almost wish they could live like just on the other side of the fence for a while, because they look and act as if they have manicured and pedicured lives and that they're just living their best life and they're perfect. And I almost feel as if they feel like they're better than us.
Or is it that they know that they're not? Just because you have a beautiful yard or pristine shutters does not mean that you have a pristine life or marriage or connected friendships that feed your spirit. They don't have anything good to feed them, so they're gorging themselves on jealousy and hatred and pettiness. Girl, I'm speaking a word today.
I'm feeling it. It's
like, I hate that you are in the middle of this, because I know how big of a deal it was for you to like stop renting a home or renting a townhome or somebody else's apartment that you wanted your own for your family, a yard they can go in, you know, you could sit inside and your kids could play outside. That's a difficult thing for me living in an apartment to be like, oh yeah, you can just go outside. I have to be out there with them. There are tons of people. So if anything happened, it would be very difficult for me to know who it was if I wasn't right out there with them. Right. Whereas your children are in your fenced-in backyard.
And I don't even like them going out there to play, because I know all eyes are on me.
Right.
I know that they're watching my kids. They're watching my dogs. They're watching my grass. It's like, honestly, I don't even want to go outside, because
it's the Jennifer Hood watch.
I don't even want to see them. Like, I loved this neighborhood when we first moved in. Both of these neighbors were so neighborly when we moved in. You need water? We have water. Do you need this? We have this. When Martell passed, my neighbor came and brought chicken noodle soup, I think. No, she brought us a meal. I can't remember what it was, but then she bought us a roast, and she was just so nice. She brought us a card, and it was just like, she even gave me a book.
Yeah. So also people attach themselves to trauma. Sometimes people like anything that is, what is the word I'm looking for? Dramatic. And I don't want to say that death is dramatic, but something that's going on that's exciting in someone's life, even if it is something that's not negative or not happy. They just like want to be a part of something.
To be a part of it.
Thank you. I feel like that's probably what that was. And you came into the neighborhood, this young girl with your kids. Maybe they thought they could groom you into the type of neighbor that they wanted you to be. They must not know Gigi.
I've confided a lot, though, in my neighbor, and
you feel betrayed.
She really has.
And I'm too close to the microphone.
Because my kids even, like, they adore her. And it's, like, really hard to pull away and say, I don't know that she's good for you. Because, and she'll probably hear this and she'll say that, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But I saw my other neighbor walking from her house the other night. And then the other neighbor comes in my yard and says something that I confided in this neighbor. That's where it stings a little bit. Like, why did you have to tell her that?
Why are you sharing my private business?
Y'all are concerned about, clearly, it's not just one that's concerned about my kids. They're both concerned about my kids' well-being.
I will say, for anybody who listens to this, the person that you are now is a wonderful mother. You know, you put your kids first. And for them to be my nephews and my niece, that means a lot to me that you put them first in your life. There's no difference between Max and the rest of them, even in Matt's eyes. And I appreciate that. Yes, pour the wine all over yourself. We are 20 minutes in. Jennifer is enjoying her time in my home. She is, her cup runneth over.
I caught it with my lap.
In the middle of my, I think I was about to step into a little monologue there about how great she was. But now I'm not going to tear up because she's like wasting wine and shit. You don't waste alcohol. Who does that?
It's because it's bubbly.
It's a bubbly.
It's a bubbly.
So what would you like to say to your neighbors? Just like take a breath.
Or two.
And say what you would like to say.
Guys, you haven't even given us a chance to get to know who we are as people. We are good people, and the fact that you just didn't even want that chance, like, okay, maybe one did, and I don't know what I did to ruin that, because I wouldn't take a certain advice, which I won't go there, but I actually thought that I could fit into this neighborhood where I just don't belong. And it's sad that I don't even feel like I belong. And we are paying to be there. It's not like we're renting. You can't just run us out. But if that was your goal, I will tell you that you've accomplished it. Because in a few short years, you're going to be getting a lot of different neighbors. And you're probably going to be really sad that we're not there anymore. Because every time you called the cops, we tried our best to fix the issue, but they just kept coming. It's the same officer too. Like, I don't know. Like, I even feel like he feels it's a bit bizarre that you guys keep calling him and he has to keep coming out there. And I'm pretty sure he sees what other people's houses look like. Because our neighborhood as a whole, we are not perfect.
Yeah, it's just I've been over there and it's really just like there's no exceptional, spectacular homes there. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood, but I mean,
it's an older neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are expecting way too much from this, and you're definitely going to get what you want. We're not going to be there much longer. Just a few more years, and we're going to be out of your hair. You will not have to look at my face again. I won't have to face you. I won't have to deal with the shame of walking out in my yard and knowing that I'm hated and you don't even know who I am.
Right. And even if these things are not true, if they don't hate you, if they have nothing against you, no vendetta, no animosity, even if these things aren't true, they've made you feel that way. That's the part that is, somebody has poked holes in this chair too. Listen, take a time out from that. And I would like to say that I bought 2 brand new fake suede chairs. They are yellow. They are beautiful. And my children have poked holes into the backs of these chairs. This is not real leather or suede or whatever it's supposed to be. But I still bought it with my money. And I'm very mad that every time I look at these chairs, there's a new hole somewhere. What are they doing? Anyway, as I was saying,
just being children.
They are just being horrible. These children they're older than a month old, but I put them together a month ago because I'm lazy.
Oh.
But what I was saying was, this is antithesis the right word? Or am I drinking and I don't know? Fact check.
That's on you.
Of judging a book by its cover. They thought you were this sweet little docile young girl with a million children, and they could just run shop over you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they could say, hey, these are suggestions we have about your life. Do this. And you'd be like, oh, that's such a great suggestion, Karen, number one. I'll definitely do that, regardless to how I feel about it.
The neighbor came to my yard, told my husband, I don't think I said this.
Let me hear it.
Did I say something about the HOA? She said, the bad thing about living in this neighborhood is not having an HOA, and the neighbors can just trash their yard. So she basically told my husband that we are trashing our yard.
You should put up a privacy fence from the street all the way. That'd be really expensive, but that would be amazing.
Because they have 2 stories.
No, but if you paid a ridiculous amount of money for like a 15-foot privacy fence in the backyard, like 10 feet in the front, like a fort, they would never be able to sell their homes. Because I'm a bitch. That's my type of thinking.
Well, I have a feeling one of them was trying to sell her home, and that's why she's like so upset with how our yard looks, because she thinks that it reflects poorly on her home.
I've never gotten how someone's grass being cut a certain way affects your property value. I mean, I get if you'd had like cars up on blocks, dogs tied to the chains out front, your shutters falling down. If they were nice, if they were good neighbors and it stuck around enough to make bonding neighborly friendships, they would see that the inside of your home is really nice. You've done a lot of work. You have cute little tchotchkes and things sitting around on your counters, and you love your home. Your backyard is so cute with your little fiesta theme. I don't know. People are weird.
I bet her neighbor, like if she sold her house, they would love us because we would feed them. We tried to have
Gigi
chickens.
is really big on like feeding people, as you can see. She wants you to come and eat all her fruits and veggies. And let's talk about the chickens real quick. We have like 3 minutes.
Okay, so we got chickens last year, and my husband was building a chicken coop.
Also, let me just say that for me, chickens would have been the tipping point. But I love chickens. I think they're adorable. We have some at my job.
Well, one neighbor on the left messaged the neighbor on the right and said, is he building a chicken coop? And they discussed that. And then the police came and was like, oh, you have chickens. That's illegal in city limits. But our neighbors down the road have chickens. So my neighbor behind us, never mind. I don't want to talk about that.
You don't want to talk about that?
Well, she talked to a police officer, and the police officer said that we just had nosy neighbors. So basically she was saying that, you know, the cops.
I'm sorry, I just got what you were saying.
The cop said his neighbor had chickens
She's still on the phone?
and that he doesn't say anything to them about it.
Okay.
But
I'll talk to her later.
He's saying it sounds like we have nosy
podcast,
neighbors.
go away.
Because my other neighbor wanted eggs too. If we had eggs during the quarantine, we needed eggs. You couldn't get more than 2 things of eggs. And we would have had an abundant amount of eggs if we could have just had chickens.
See? There you are. Everyone needs chickens. I missed the last part of that because Austin was talking to me. But if you'd had chickens, you'd had eggs. Because we were out of them where I work. Well, I have 2 jobs, but we were out of them at one of my jobs. That's a grocery store. Listen, guys. Be good humans. Be loving. You don't know what's going on in anyone's life or situation or their family dynamic. Like, what if she'd been in a horrible marriage and needed someone to lean on? What if she had just needed someone, not even because of a horrible marriage, because she just needed someone because she was experiencing life like we all are? Mm-hmm. Don't be shitty. I should get that on a t-shirt. People, don't be shitty. This is Aandrea and Jennifer.
Hello.
Signing off with You Better Fact Check because we definitely were having one. Thank you.